whisper beyond the wind, a parable about hearing God. I, the seeker of thunder. In a quiet village nestled among the mountains of the east, there lived a man named Arun. From his youth he was told of the greatness of God, of miracles that split rivers, voices that cracked the skies, and sacred words that shaped the world. Arun believed deeply, but belief to him was not enough. He wanted to hear God, not through priests or parables, not through scripture or symbol, but directly, as clear as a drum, as sharp as lightning. Why would God hide? Arun often wondered, if the wind can be felt and the thunder heard, why not the voice of the Creator? At the age of 25, Arun left his home and set off into the world, determined to find the sound of God. He packed no food, carried no map, only a wooden staff in his longing. The Cave of Silence. Arun first came to a temple high on a stone cliff, where monks lived in silence. There, he found Master Rinpo, a calm man whose smile was like still water. I seek to hear the voice of God, Arun told him. The master nodded. Then listen. So Arun stayed. Days passed, then weeks. He sat for hours beside the monks, breathing, meditating, listening. He heard the mountain birds, the creak of wood, the rustle of wind, but not God. One day, frustrated, Arun asked, "When will I hear him?" Rinpo opened his eyes and said, "You heard the birds. You heard the wind. What makes you think those were not his voice?" Arun shook his head. God would not whisper. He would declare. Rinpo said nothing more. And so, Arun left. The Sufi and the drum. Next, Arun wandered east to the desert lands, where he met a Sufi dervish named Tahir, who danced with a tambourine and laughed like a child. "You wish to hear God?" Tahir asked, spinning in the sand. "I do, Bante." "Then come. We will dance until the world falls away." And so, Arun danced. Days turned to nights. Wine flowed like poetry. Songs were sung with fire. Hearts burst in devotion. Once, Arun thought he felt something. A presence behind the pulse of the drum. But it vanished. "Is this God?" he asked Tahir. Tahir placed a hand over his heart. "Haze in the space between your heartbeats." "I want words," Arun replied. "Not riddles." Tahir kissed his forehead and said, "Then you are listening with the wrong ears." Our left again. The forest of echoes. Years passed. Arun wandered through kingdoms, shrines, hermitages. He climbed peaks, crossed oceans, fasted in caves. He listened to sages who spoke in flames and poets who sang with tears. Still, he did not hear the voice he sought, clear, divine, irrefutable. Then, weary and old, he came to a forest near the sea, wild with vines and blue mist. There he met an old woman named Ma Lin, who lived alone in a wooden hut and spoke to trees as if they were friends. She invited him to sit by the fire. He did not speak of his quest, but after 3 days of silence she said gently, "You have searched long. You are tired." Arun nodded. "I wanted to hear him," he whispered. "Truly hear him." Ma Lin stirred the fire. "And what did you expect?" "A voice like thunder. Something that shakes the soul. Something that leaves no doubt." She smiled. "And if he did speak like that, would your heart not flee?" Arun said nothing. She poured him tea. The stillest moment. One morning, before dawn, Ma Lin woke him. "Come," she said. "There is something you must hear." They walked barefoot into the forest, where the mist lay thick on the ground. They reached a small glade where a single tree grew, old and twisted. "Sit," she said. Arun sat. Ma Lin placed her hand on his shoulder and whispered, "Now, empty." He closed his eyes. The world softened. He let go of his wanting. He let go of the voice he imagined. He let go of time. There was no temple, no thunder, no sacred chant, only stillness. And in that stillness, something stirred. Not a voice, not even a sound, but a knowing. A soft, clear presence, like warmth behind his ribs, like wind resting on water. A whisper not heard with ears, but felt in the marrow of silence. A phrase formed, not from outside, but from within. I have always been here. Aaron's eyes filled with tears. He had spent a lifetime chasing a sound, only to find that God had spoken 1,000 times in birdsong, in laughter, in loneliness, in the ache of his searching. He had not lacked a voice. He had lacked the quiet to hear it. The return. Aaron did not become a priest or teacher. He returned to his village and lived by the river, planting flowers and fixing broken tools. He no longer searched for thunder. He spoke gently, moved slowly, and listened more than he spoke. Children came to him with questions about the divine. Where is God? They would ask. Aaron would smile and place a finger to their chest. When your mind is still, and your heart is open, he will speak here, he would say. And what does he sound like? Like everything, Aaron would say. And like nothing, but once you hear him, you'll never forget the tone. And when they asked how to hear it sooner than he had, he would tell them simply, be quiet, be honest, and be still long enough to notice the wind that comes after the wind. Closing reflection. God does not always speak in fire, or roll his name across the sky. Sometimes he is the breath between words, the pause after sorrow, the hush before sunrise. To hear God is not to strain outward, but to soften inward, to become still enough that the whisper behind the wind has room to enter.